Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Pauline Baird, a cultural bear from the village of Buxton, Guyana. I tell the stories of my village, our family histories, our whispered stories, our practice hidden and long forgotten traditions. I tell these stories so we can learn from them. What does the story say? Loud taak story. Y'all know what happened to Rosemary? Sweet Rosemary, she died in hospital. If you don't know that, what she died in hospital. Rosemary lying down on the bed, the father there on one side, the mother sit down right, and the husband there across from there. Nobody know want to Rosemary, they're waiting for the doctor to come. While they're sitting down there, Mr. Walker begin to think. He think about the day he daughter born. He proper like his daughter. She was the golden apple of his eye. Rosemary mother thinking, hear what she thinking. She thinking the first time she trained her daughter to do housework. At 10 years old, Rosemary can clean house, she can put away a house, she can do womanly things, all the housewife thing, and every turn she makes, she reminds she, girl, you got to do this when you get your husband. You got to learn for this when you get your husband. And when Rosemary turned 23 and she said she got married, that was the happiest day of her life. After all, nobody not can curse them family and say, oh, she get one left pan girl, oh, she get old maid, you know, and nobody not want she. Rosemary got married. She tell Rosemary, girl, you got to trade in that face powder for baking powder because the way to a man's heart is his stomach. Rosemary bite hook, line and sinker and she bake up good. She ready for married. They even make, she takes your father's suit, one khaki suit, and she put it with good starch and iron it good. This suit stand up by itself. That was the proof that she was a good girl. So Mr. Walker had to tell you, back up son, me and know you. You got to do this the right way. Why is your intention? You come back here next Sunday and talk to me. He remember the next Sunday when Claiborne show up. White shirt, stiff collar, and one short khaki pants. Sun hot, to see a sweat bullet. He call in at the front room and he sit down there. And he talking to he say, boys, what is your intention? He tell us how he love Rosemary and he want for marriage she. He say, you got to write the ask home letter. They say, don't go so. He say, all right, sir. He left and he went home. Forget the letter. The time he went to Harlem school teacher for help him for see if he grammar right. In this letter where you write but Rosemary, but you want to marry Rosemary. Rosemary's father and mother did the due diligence. They went a village where four parents and come from a weekend or some way. And then find out about the history. Mind you, back in them days, they didn't get no DNA testing. But they went and find out all the family history. If you know they get ginger, if they get cockabee, if they get malaria, if they get elephantitis, and if anybody been a best hospital for cough. He come out clean. None of that. Claiborne had none of that. He passed the test. He come back with the letter. He asked for Rosemary hand. He gave you one gold ring that he make from gold, come from Guyana gold board. As Claiborne sit down there, he start think. He start to think about the first time he lay eye upon Rosemary. He been done things so she not get face value. As a matter of fact, he said she ugly. And he say because she family rich, she wear all them expensive dress. They went to one party at the Prairie Hall. And when them a dance at the party, he pick up Rosemary. And he start to spin she like a tongue by. Inside, them a spin. Outside, by the time he say outside, Rosemary give one chuck middle the hall and say outside, and you pay for me coming here? He nearly dead with embarrassment. But anyway, he persists because he say, every time he take a good look at your face, he see a bang book, he got for married Rosemary. He stick to it. You remember too, the first stage of the courting. It call it psst stage. Even see she yeah psst, psst, when he see she. Yeah, I believe in that. We all think about that. Nowadays I call sexual harassment and catcalling. Psst. When he said psst on Rosemary, Rosemary tell us how she foot been a shake, she don't know how to respond. But then one day when he sups she after much she stop and she said, what you want? He knows how to forget his shakes because he never get words for she. But he persists. After that, you go and buy one rally bicycle because you know you want to make like you know you're somebody. You know, don't pour by. You get a rally bicycle, you pass around by your school. When you pass around by your school, you're there with your friends, you ride up. All the friends and bus and scatter, they don't want for be no blacker and no culture and so. And they left Rosemary one. Then he started to talk to she, nice girl, I want to talk to you. and they stopped by the lantern post at Ogo Street and they teach normal. And they're talking every afternoon, and they Rosemary there, and they're talking, she's circling in the ground. When she's circling the ground with her toe, and when that thing happening, you look at it, you know the boy and girl soaring. The boy soaring the girl. At that time, she's a banner and she's a beanie. They call it hustling sheep. And you know, they're talking like that, she all shy and everything, and she drawing the circle. That second stage. You remember the third stage after that? They're talking and talking, and the two of them dead. That's the third stage is day. First stage is psst. Second stage is soaring and hustling. Third stage is day. The two of them day. Whole village of them day. And so by this time the mother don't know and warn Jeff stop the lantern post talking. She stop. And then he go and he ask home and thing. And the two of them married and then go away a Grove go live. So it's Grove this story happened that them call Mr. Walker and say, Mr. Walker, your daughter something happened to she. You rush down there with the car. And he carries she to the hospital, and nobody don't know why Rosemary there, pan machine, knock out cool. So the doctor them come in and they say, what happened? Nobody know. So the doctor suspect that Claiborne knows something else. So he asked the nurse to ask the parents to leave. So the parents left the room. He asked her what happened. He asked what happened to your wife. He said, he didn't know they've been there just so, and they've been a talk, and they've been hard talking. The doctor said, hard talking, what you mean? He said, because you know that's coming late, little one time I take a little finey with them by and she didn't like it, and she told me a drunkard, and me said me no drunkard, and them start for talk and they get into it. I mean, they mean for nothing for happen. He said, what you mean nothing for happen? He said, well, we just get into it. The doctor said, well, how long this been go on? He said, now and then. And she just run where she mother. And when she go back to she mother, the mother just send she back after a couple morning and tell she go back, go bear. And so he understand because after all, when beef na get bone, dog na business, you're supposed to be involved inside of them story. So the day, and the doctor said, well, tell me what happened this day. Make your wife there. So he said, me no man, me and she been just getting to it, and me just, you know, me just fire me on. So he said, what you mean fire you on? Doctor, I only 2 little cough, me give she a 2 little cough. People, I agree for that. 2 little cough. Now I tell this story for us to examine this issue of domestic violence and sexual harassment. You know, it's not politically correct to do the things we used to do before. Guys soups and half Gyurl, maybe that's not the thing nowadays. But you know, people slide into your DMs and things change. But I want us to examine this, and to all the young girls and young women who might be listening to me, let's examine this situation seriously. If you are in a state where you're in domestic partnerships that are abusive or have tendencies to be abusive, or you feel scared because this person is threatening, I would caution you to seek help and remove yourself from such situations. They might not be easy, but seek help because your life could be at stake. 2 little cough in the wrong place can put you in the hospital and put you 6 feet under. You know, domestic violence is not anything to play with. I talk about this because this is an issue all over the Caribbean and around the world as well. So however you can enter this story, please do, and let's talk about it. You know, enculturation is a very big thing. I remember growing up and hearing this song about domestic violence. I didn't understand it then, but now I recall it, it brings home something to me. And it went something like this: every now and then you gotta knock them down. They love you long or they love you strong. Bung up their eye, bruise up their knee, then they love you eternally. People, you agree with that? That is a case of support for domestic violence, where people are thinking that it's okay to every now and then slap up a person. I had a young man tell me that, you know, every now and then my wife got to get a little tap up, tap shop outside the head. And he was pretty serious. I talked to another colleague of mine, very brilliant guy, and he was recounting the story of how a guy from the village beat a girl with bellyache whip. And I said, but why? They're grown people. She's not a bag or an object. Why should he be beating on her? And he said, man, I did think what she do to buy. She embarrassed he. I said, no. That's no excuse. There is no excuse for a man to lay his hand on a woman. But my colleague was making excuses, and I was quite surprised at the thinking that there still is a thinking that is legitimate, that if a woman wrongs a man or vice versa, that they should lay hands on each other. That's wrong. That's wrong. And I don't want our young women to think that that is something that they should condone. It's not right. And I want us to talk about this. Share this video. Follow me and get more like these if you're interested, because we have to spread the stories. The stories that are in our traditions and in our songs remind us of where we've come from. And I don't condone throwing out the bad songs that talk about domestic violence. They're there to give us pause and to give us food for thought and impetus for action. They're there to be held up for scrutiny. They're there for us to examine. And we have to look at the familiar as strange and look at the strange as familiar, and looking at this familiar narrative that the mighty sparrow sang about, and I inflated and drew this analogy. I want us to look at it as something that is strange and to speak to it as a strange phenomenon, and that's something that we should encourage. A digital writing class will be held in January. For those who are interested, we'll be writing the legacies. Please email me, paulinefbaird@hotmail.com. Like, follow on Facebook and YouTube. To my Facebook fans of 1600 and counting, thank you. My YouTube fan, 157 or 51, thank you very much. We're growing slowly. Thank you very much. Walk good.